Hey guys, welcome back to Pool School again. I'm here with Tara today. She's going to be the great helper in telling you how to keep your pools nice and clear this season and just covering a lot of our troubleshooting and pool chemical tips. So Tara, tell us mainly how we start off our pools with like balancing our water and everything like that.
So obviously balancing is going to be the absolute most important thing that you can do for your pool and your guests that are going to be in your pool. So you definitely want to make sure that you're testing it, I say weekly, just to kind of stay ahead of the game and make sure that everything is going smoothly. Oklahoma has weather that is not predictable, as we all know. So one day it can be bright and sunny, the next it can be acidic rain. So what we're going to do is test it either at home and give us a call if you have any questions on what to do for the further steps on getting it balanced, or bring it up here and we can do all that work for you. You definitely want to make sure that your pH is going to be between 7.2 and 7.6. Anything after 7.6 is when algae can grow and become a problem in your pool. Your alkalinity, you want it between 80 to 120, give or take, just depending on the size of your pool, location where you're at, your water, all of that stuff. Well water is going to be a whole nother ball game as far as keeping your alkalinity in check, so we just want to stay on top of the game. So that's going to be step one. If you are on copper, you definitely want to make sure that you're checking that as well. You want your copper between 0.9 and 1. And you check that one not every week, but every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, so she covered that it's important to keep our pools balanced. Okay, so can you give me, like, say my pool's green this year, what is some chemicals I'm definitely going to need to help relieve the green from the pool this year?
So if your pool's green, I can almost guarantee you your pH is high. Not always, but 90% of the time. So definitely make sure that's in range. So start with getting that balanced. After that's balanced, then you can move on to shock. The most effective shock for your pool when it is green is going to be our lovely Assault 73. Always do this at nighttime. The sun loves this just as much as we do and will eat it out of your pool. So do it at night. We've learned that the best thing to do is put it through your skimmer. It just gets it all nicely combined in there, and don't have to do as much digging out of the bottom of the pool. So that's going to be your step one. After that's been put in the skimmer, my favorite of all time algicide to use is going to be our lovely Clear. It is part of our copper system, but not only is it our copper system for our pure and blue pools, it is one of the best algicides out there. So depending on how green it is, normally I just shock the crap out of it and put a full bottle of this in there, and usually you'll see amazing results. A lot of times if you're going from it being green and you get it clearing up, you're still going to have some cloudiness going on. So the best thing I've seen for that is going to be our Clear and Perfect. You definitely want to make sure that when you do this, you're reading the back of the directions or calling us and getting an amount to use, because as great as it is one of those things that you can have too much of a good thing, and if you do too much, then you're gonna not only have it cloudy, but it could be even more cloudy than what you started off with. So this is an amazing product as long as you're doing it in the right dosage.
Okay, so that would be called a clarifier, right?
Yes, that is going to be a clarifier.
So could you tell me when I would use a clarifier over a flock or a flock over a clarifier?
So if it's just cloudy, you can kind of see the bottom, I would recommend using a clarifier. Flocking is going to be one of those things where you can't see the bottom. It's real murky and it's not looking great. You can use the clarifier if it's not too bad, but once it gets to that step, you definitely want to use a flock. We don't really like using them in the summertime because, as well as the Oklahoma heat, turning that pump off is something you're going to have to do when you use a flock for 24 to 48 hours. So we hate to turn that pump off during those times, but sometimes you just can't get around it. So definitely, if it's where you can't see the bottom, you'll definitely want to use a flock.
Is there there something we can pair with our clarifier to make it work faster?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you said that. With the Clear and Perfect, we have something called Clear Results. This is going to go into the skimmer, and it's going to help the sand break down particles even more than it normally does. So when you pair these two together, it's a great marriage. They love each other. Thelma and Louise is what I call them. Just like us.
Just like okay, so with that being said, you were saying something about your sand filter. So what is like the problem when I'm generally like I see sand just constantly blowing back into my pool?
If you're seeing sand blowing into your pool, that is not a normal thing to go on in your pool. So it's definitely going to be an issue. 9 times out of 10, if you're having sand shoot back into your pool, I always tell people to make sure that's actually where it's coming from, because sometimes we have ladders that have anchors and those have sandbags, so those can have sand coming out if they get busted, or kids running in and out of the pool can get dirt into it. But if you're noticing more than the average little bit here and there, I always have people put their hands in front of the return. You will feel that sand shooting out. And if that's the case, then it's going to be usually your lateral lines. Depending on which sand filter you have, you'll either have around 6 up to 12 of these bad boys in your sand filter. Usually if you have sand shooting out, it's not going to be all of them that is broke. It has happened, but it's not a common thing. Usually it'll have just a small fracture in there. So you can actually take the lid off and take these out and rinse them off and take a look at them. Every once in a while, the center hub will have a crack, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be these bad boys right here, which we generally have stocked up in parts, and we can get you a replacement pretty quick.
So along with the sand filter, I've been having some issues with the multi-port valve leaking out of my backwash while I'm filtering. What would generally be my problem there?
If you're having water come out of the backwash, or coming out of the backwash out of waste when it is on filter, not on waste, then that is going to generally be your diverter valve. Normally it's going to be the spider gasket, but the spider gasket is this thing right here that is actually attached to the diverter valve. Some people just replace that gasket, but getting these in and out is not an easy task, and 9 times out of 10, it is so much easier just to replace this full piece and have much more time to enjoy being in your pool than trying to get this sucker out. So a lot of the times if this is leaking, it is because when you're changing from filter to backwash to rinse, you're not going the same direction. You're going one way and then back the other, and it's just causing this to wear down way more fast than if you were just to go the same direction. So go the same direction every time, and it'll save you a lot of trouble and a lot of money.
Awesome tips, Tara. Thanks. So back to just kind of dealing with our cloudy water. Are there any like enzymes or cool things that we can help to keep our water at its best when it's clear?
Absolutely. So our favorite thing to incorporate into everyone's pool, not mattering which sanitizer, what pool, whatever system you're using, is going to be our Activator Plus. It is our borate, and it is going to keep that pool crystal clear and keep headaches at bay. So it basically is going to polish that water. It's going to keep your levels balanced. It's going to make your chlorine and your shock last a whole lot longer, and that is going to be a very imperative thing to have, not only every summer, but this summer in particular, because chlorine is going to be a lot harder to get with things that are going on, and it is going to make your life a lot better to just have that peace of mind knowing that your products that you have are going to last a lot longer, and you're going to spend a lot of less money in the long run by spending just a little bit up front.
Okay. Yeah. So also I heard of this chemical called Pool Perfect Total. Could you tell me a little bit about Pool Perfect Total and how or what it does to our pools?
Pool Perfect Total is a natural enzyme that is designed to not only be an algicide, but to keep your water crystal clear, And we use it a lot when we're having trouble with certain things and other algicides and things aren't working as well. A lot of times customers that come in might not have a pool like we have and don't have sand filters. When you don't have a sand filter, you're not able to use a lot of these higher end algicides and products, so they use the Pool Perfect Total because you don't have to backwash or rinse.
Okay, so I know, like, just generally routine maintenance of the pool. I typically need to empty my skimmer basket how many times a week?
Yeah. So also depending on where you live, it's Oklahoma, it's the summertime, you're gonna have my least favorite bug of all time, the June bug, who's going to fill that basket up pretty quick depending on if you're out in the country or you have lights and all that fun stuff. So I would definitely clean that out at least once a week, but if you have a lot more bugs at where you're at, I would clean it out once a day, because the more you clean it out, the less it's going to fill up and cause other issues by clogging up that basket and not allowing the water to flow the way it should.
Well, thank you, Tara. Another thing, one more thing. So sometimes we get like random like water on the outside of our pool. I think maybe there could possibly be a leak. Is there a way that we can just take care of a small leak now and maybe have to wait and replace our liner, or is that something that I would definitely have to replace my liner on?
You definitely don't have to replace your liner if it's not a huge hole that's causing a ton of water to come out. Liners are not a cheap thing to have to replace, and if you can extend the life of that liner with just a few bucks, it's going to be whole lot easier and make your summer a lot more enjoyable, spending money on fun things like floats and other things rather than liners this year. So what we do have is called a boxer patch kit. It comes with everything you need and it's $10. So it has a piece of vinyl liner in there, not liner, but vinyl, and it has glue and an applicator on that. So if you kind of have an idea of where that hole is coming from, there's tips and tricks that you can use to kind of narrow down where it's coming from. Food coloring, usually red. You have to know where it's coming from in a general area, especially if you have a 33-foot pool going in there with some red food coloring. Trying to find a tiny hole is not always the easiest, but if you can narrow it down, then you can see where that food coloring is going out from. Once you do find the hole, when you do put the patch on there, you want to cut it into a circle, not a square, so that you're not having these sharp corners on there. It makes it a whole lot easier and it stays longer. So you'll cut it into a circle, you'll put the glue on there, you'll fold it over, go to where the hole is down in the pool, and then open it up and place it on there. If you don't have an idea of where that leak is coming from, we always have a service department where they can come out, use their leak detector, and they can find that hole for you. And if they know where it is, they will patch it for you if that's something that you want done. So.
Awesome. Well, I think that's pretty much covered all of the little tips that I was needing to cover. So I thank you, Tara. We thank you for watching, and like we've always said, we have our water lab, we have our parts department, and you can always call us or come see us. Thanks for watching again.
Bye.